What's up? So, one of the goals I've had recently in the last few years was to retire early. And I would say my goal isn't necessarily to retire early as much as it is to not have to work anymore. And it's not that I don't like working, it's just that I don't want to do anything I don't want to do. And that's the ultimate goal. So, to achieve that, I basically need to retire early. And I think the concept of retiring early is pretty easy to understand. You basically just need enough money where the amount of money that your money makes is more than the amount of money that you need to survive, right? And once you hit that parity, then you can retire. So I feel like the amount of money that I need to comfortably retire is $4 million. And my wife thinks that number is way higher, but realistically, I think $4 million would do the trick. How I evaluate that is if you take $4 million, you multiply that by 5%. If you make 5% on $4 million every year, that's about $200,000 a year. And that might not sound like a lot of money, but you have to keep in mind that you don't need to save any of that money. You can spend it all. And also, that money will get taxed at a lower rate because that's probably going to be capital gains tax, right? And then also, on the fact that you don't actually need to stop working, you just have the option to stop working. So if you need more money because you want to spend more money, you can still work, but there's at least enough for you to live pretty comfortably without having to work. So to get to $4 million realistically, I don't think you can save up to $4 million in a short period of time. I just don't think it's possible, right? Even if you made, let's say, $400,000 a year, which is probably like top 5% of earners in the country, probably top 1% in the world, you're still gonna have a difficult time saving $4 million. So let's say you make $400,000 a year, you pay 40% tax, so you take home 240K. Let's say you save 50% of that income, so you save $120,000 a year in cash. It's going to take you like 25 years to save $4 million, right? Obviously, that time can be cut in half or lower if you're investing it and it's growing at a certain rate. But that's still going to take like 12 years, right? And that's assuming you're making like top 5% of income in the country, which is already very difficult to do. And I know you can say, oh, I'm just going to save more money, but if you're at that level, all your peers are making that much money. It's going to be very difficult to save 50% of your income when you're just used to that certain lifestyle. I think it's going to be difficult. So, anyways, my point is, for all intents and purposes, it's going to be very difficult for you to save enough money quickly by earning a salary. So in reality, the only way you can make a lot of money quickly is by having your money multiply, or by buying something and having appreciated value, or doing something that isn't leveraging your time, right? So here are my 3 bullets I have to retiring early. The first one I have is my day job, which is a day job, but I am a co-founder of a SaaS company. We make software for funeral homes. And although the trade-off is I don't make a lot of money, I make less. Let's say I make less money than I did, 10 years ago when I was working a real day job. But the value of a SaaS business is relatively high. Like, I don't know what it is now, but let's say in 2022 it could be like, or 2021 it could be like 8 to 10x revenue, right? So when you sell that business, that's where all that money is being made. So for example, we have a subscription service, right? Let's say I make $1. I sell someone a dollar worth of product per month. We call it MRR. Let's call it monthly recurring revenue. You make $1, right? That's worth $12 a year, right? And then you multiply that by 8. That's worth $100 if you sold that business. So for every dollar you sell in monthly recurring revenue, it's worth $100, right? So if you sell $1,000 in monthly recurring revenue, that's worth $100,000. So you can see how the value of that business grows pretty quickly because of those multiples, right? So I may not be making a lot of money on salary, but if we end up selling the company, that's where all the money is being made. So that's an easy way to leverage your time in order to retire early, right? And then I think the downside for having your business is you probably can't pay yourself that much money, because if you think about it, if your company is making more money, then you want to take that money and maybe hire someone else that can be more productive for the company. If you just pay yourself a higher salary, then your company's not going to grow, right? So the name of the game is really growing your company. So that's my first bullet. Hope that makes sense. So the second bullet I have is actually going to be Tesla. So in 2020, I actually sold everything I owned in terms of equities or securities or stocks, really, and I had bought Tesla with it. So I sold everything in my 401k, I sold everything in my IRA, I sold everything in my regular portfolio, and just bought Tesla with it. So why did I do that? Is because I see a vision of where Tesla will multiply pretty substantially in the future, not just near future, maybe in the next 3 or 4 years, but also 10 years from now. And for the past 10, 15 years, I've been dollar cost averaging, making that extra 8, 12, 15% every year. And luckily, I graduated college in 2010, and it's been on like this crazy bull run. So luckily, everything that I've been putting my money into, which is like basically just 401, basically just like S&P 500, has been doing very well. But in order to retire early, you have to multiply your money quickly. Where if you do an average, if you do like an index fund, that money will basically guarantee not to double or triple in a short period of time. It's gonna grow like 8%, right? 5%, whatever. It's gonna be a safe bet. It's probably not gonna lose any money. But my goal is to retire early. So my goal is to multiply my money as quickly as possible, and I see Tesla as a very good vehicle to do that. Um, and I'll try my best in less than a few sentences to kind of lay out my investment thesis on Tesla. But what I think is very important to understand is manufacturing an electric vehicle is not the same as manufacturing an internal combustion engine vehicle, right? These are two complete different technologies. Tesla's very, very good at manufacturing EVs. And when I say very good is that they're able to get scale and they're able to get profitability. So they make a lot of money per car. All the other car manufacturers are making less money on their ICE vehicles, but they're making money at least. They're losing money on their EVs, and they're going to be selling less ICE vehicles while they sell more EVs, right? And once again, the technologies for building an EV is not at all transferable to building an ICE vehicle. Tesla's also very unique in the sense that they write their own software, they develop their own chips, they have their own. So from the bottom up, their car is connected, right? They can update software. They can make the car better from just a software update, right? Whereas, for example, Ford, they have a million parts, like the software in the seat is different from the software in the dashboard. Like you have all these different vendors making writing software. So it's not like built from the bottom up. So Tesla can do things a lot more efficiently. They're also very good at manufacturing, so they're able to cut their costs lower and lower. So they make a lot more money per car. But where I think the multiple is going to come in is going to be from full self-driving. Tesla's developing their own full self-driving technology, and they're the leaders in this. And once again, the most important thing to understand is, in order to develop this AI, is miles driven. It's the data. How much data do you have? Tesla has like 4 million cars just bringing back data every day, right? So they have the most miles per car driven data. You compare them to like Waymo or all these other car self-driving companies. They're solving for a very, very specific location. So I'm gonna map out this city. I'm gonna map out San Francisco, and this car can just drive in San Francisco. What Tesla is doing is developing a brain that can actually view things and take it in and understand it, and it can drive anywhere. So once they solve it, it's gonna go worldwide instantly, right? And if they can just turn it on, they already have 4 million cars that are equipped with FSD. They can just turn it on, and they can sell the subscription, and they can make $10,000 per car in profit, pure profit. It's just software. They don't have to sell anything, right? So my point is the profit margins are going to be insane. Also, what they're developing is they're developing a charger network. They can make money on that. So that's like kind of like your gasoline stations. They're also developing the foundation to train the AI. So they have this thing called Dojo, which is software and hardware. But imagine that's like Amazon Web Services for training AI, right? So there's a lot of different business arms. I can go into more detail, but there's a lot more business arms that Tesla has, where each of these are like a moonshot, where it could definitely like multiply the business, and then battery storage as well. But yeah, I mean, if you have time, you should just look into Tesla and try to understand the business a little bit better. Don't read the headlines. There's a lot to do with it. But anyways, that's my second bullet, and I think that's probably my most. I hate to say it, but that's kind of my most secure bullet. Like, I'm very sure about this. So yeah, if Tesla can, just 3 or 4x over the next 3 or 4 years, like I'll be in a pretty good spot. So that is my second bullet. And my third bullet is Ethereum, which I'm not as gung-ho about as Tesla, but when I went to buy all the Tesla shares, I didn't sell my Ethereum just because of tax purposes. So in 2017, I put in like $60,000 into Ethereum, and that had, I think the price point was somewhere between $50 to $300 is when I started buying it. So that had multiplied quite a bit. Obviously, that run was very stressful. There was a lot of ups and downs. I went from like $200 to like 1,600, then back to 80, then to like 4,000, then back to 2,000. So that was a crazy run. I mean, I will admit I did lose like half of my investment just by doing dumb stuff back then. Those times were crazy. But yeah, anyways, I still have a pretty good amount of it, and I never sold it just for tax purposes. But I could see a world where that could go back to 4 or 5,000, and at that point, I'm not gonna hold on to it anymore. I could probably let go of it, and that'll be another good bullet I have to getting closer to that 4 million. So in reality, I haven't been keeping up with the news for Ethereum. I just think that's a possibility. I've owned it for so long that doesn't make sense for me to sell it now. But those are my 3 bullets, right? So my point is, like, if you're trying to retire early, you can't do it by saving. You have to do it by somehow multiplying your money. But obviously, being good at saving is a necessary step in this. But my point is, you have to be able to leverage something other than your own time in order to grow your wealth. So I hope that makes sense. Hope you guys think a little bit about how you're going to be leveraging your money or time to make more money. Yeah, hope that helps. Talk to you in the next video. Thanks.